We begin our story with our protagonist named Jameen Welton, the eldest son of the Seldom Kingdom's Count family. He is just waking up, but he already seems annoyed by something. He sits up in his bed and mentions that he had the same dream again. As we switch to a different scene, we see a man lying on the ground with blood splattering around him. A disembodied voice says, "I will seal you." The 12 heavenly gods can't even defeat one of me. Now all you could do is gather up together to seal me. How can I not find this funny? Very well. Go ahead and seal me. However, when I reawaken, your radiant lights will die out in darkness. You won't be able to die a peaceful death amongst the agony, and you'll be begging for me to kill you. Then I will look forward to that moment, Diablo Volpeer. However, for now, be entrapped in eternal suffering. And that was the story of how our protagonist, Jameen, was sealed away by the 12 gods, but after a long time, and finding a way through a crack in the barrier, he was able to escape and be reincarnated. We go to the next scene of Jameen as a baby while his parents fawn over how cute he is. As they stand over the protagonist, he tries to talk, but it comes out as just baby talk, and he looks extremely shocked. Why aren't words coming out? He was born as a nobleman in a house where his parents loved him obsessively. As we go to the next scene, we see a maid running through the hall towards Jameen's room. Today's going to be another tiring day. The maid comes into the room as Jameen's expression changes to a happy one. The maid notices that he's up early, but he uses the excuse of waking up early because of the morning sky was so pretty. And the maid exclaims how very affectionate he was while he turns around and questions if he's really that affectionate. Then he gets dressed to see his mother and father. As the maid brings him to the room, he thinks, here we go again. As we see his family sitting happily at the table as they're preparing to eat breakfast, his expression changes once again, and he walks into the room. As he sits down at the table next to his adorable little sister, his mother exclaims how both of her babies are so cute as she starts to flirt with her husband at the table. And we are introduced to the parents. The mother's name is Sears Bell Welton, and the father is named Swordmaster Count Argano Welton. Jameen states that his father's title is impressive, but to him, he's just crazy about his wife and kids. And we are also introduced to Jameen's adorable little sister named Sarah as she attempts to feed him. He takes a bite and thanks her for feeding him such delicious foods and pats her on the head. We then zoom into the protagonist as he thinks that this is extremely tiring and he wants to be left alone. He finally makes it back to his room and plops onto the bed exhausted. Seriously, I will never be able to get used to how affectionate they are. It's gotten a lot better now that I'm older, but back then, I wanted to die because I had to talk cute like I had a short tongue. But I like this mansion, especially the library. As he thinks this, a dark cute creature comes out of nowhere and jumps on his head. As he thinks about how weak he is. As he sits up in his bed, he thinks that being born is a great opportunity for him as he crushes the cute creature in his palm. Those 12 gods still exist, and they're still leeching off their believers as if they're parasites. As he thinks this, he realizes that he's only this weak because of dark magic doesn't exist in this time period. But there's no worry because time is on his side. We see Jameen looking evil with the blood of the dark creature on his cheeks as the maid peeks into the room. He pauses for a second and turns around. Yes, Nanny, let's go. As he curses himself internally. As we come to notice, he acts cute so much so that it makes him want to be sealed off again. Not gonna lie, I think this eternal suffering that the 12 gods we're talking about is this, because this man is going through a lot and it just started. Next, we see him walking into the room where his mother and sister are sitting. As he walks over to his mother, he kneels down and puts his hands on her lap as if he was a dog, asking her what book they will read today. Sears and Sarah are stunned by his cuteness and jumps on him and clings to him as he looks lifeless. They finish reading a book when Jameen states how he wants to be a great magician like Heinous, and Sears states that he's already defeated 3 of his magic teachers and that his father said he will bring him a great magician. As he gets up to go to the library, his mother beckons him over for another hug. As he looks back annoyed once again, he jumps into Sears' arm as she squeezes him to death. As he sits in front of a well-lit window while looking disappointed, as we see Jameen reading a book on mana breathing, he thinks how he thought it would be helpful, but ultimately it wasn't. As he's walking to the dining room to eat with his parents, he notices an old man with a white robe, as expected of Count Welton. He used the artifact like this in the front entrance of the dining hall as a decoration. Jameen looks confused. Who is this person? He has tremendous amounts of mana and it's leaking from his body like a raging storm. Jameen glares at him and realizes that this Old guy is at least a 7th class mage with the ability to teleport, contemplating if he's an intruder or not. The mage notices him and Jameen asks, "Who might you be? How did you get here? This isn't a place just anyone can enter," while showing off the amount of mana he has. Oh, I guess the son of a tiger is also a tiger. He's definitely above average. Jameen states that if it was the old him standing here, the old man would be kneeling before him right now, but his laid-back attitude is annoying. Jameen prepares to attack to strike the wizard as the wizard does the same with great enthusiasm, while thinking that this kid is better than the rumors, that his actions make him curious just how strong he is. Jameen gets enraged that the old man is testing him. The mighty Diablo Volfear. Jameen shoots an attack at the old man, but the old man blocks it. It didn't work. I thought it would, but to think it did no damage at all. It's amazing. This is really the magic of a 9-year-old boy. Nice try. It's my turn, right? The old man shouts as he shoots a fireball at Jameen. Oh, he's totally fine, damn it. As the fireball is traveling towards Jameen, he notices that the magic isn't aimed towards him, so there's no reason to react. And he stands there with unwavering mind. The old man thinks, this kid didn't even blink. As the magic gets closer, Count Welton jumps in front of the attack and blocks it. "You're going too far," the Count says to the old man, then takes a look at his son to check if he's unhurt. But he fakes being scared and whimpers. As the father looks towards the old man with killing intent, we see Jameen behind him flipping him off. What a surprise. This is quite amusing. "Count, I'm envious of you. He attacked my son out of nowhere. Has he gone mad?" In the next scene, we see the Count drinking tea with the old wizard. He mentions that his son is his heir and asks him why did he attack him. And the old wizard expresses that he knew, while the Count gets even angrier. He asks him, how much does he know about Jameen? And the father is bewildered and asks why. But the mage just said he's a genius, and the Count agrees. Then we get an introduction to the old man. He's a 8th class mage called Marquise Lemel, and tells him that he cannot help his son because there's nothing to teach him, and that he would be able to learn more on his own because he's at least a 3rd stage mage, and that he was able to read all of his attacks and knew that the magic wasn't going to touch him, and was surprised that he didn't even flinch. And he calls his son a monster that needs no teacher, and that will one day be able to reach the 9th stage as a mage, going above anyone else who have ever lived and revolutionized the world, and that he should just support him. And we see Jameen finally makes it back to his room. He exclaims that was really tiring. And we see how his mother reacts after hearing what the old mage Marquise did. And he feels good that he finally seen some actual magic, and he now sees his father in a new light because he thought that he was strong, but he didn't notice that he was that strong. And he feels that his father is really fit to be his father. As he thinks this, the old man Marquise appears right behind him on his bed. Jameen looks surprised and annoyed at the same time and screams. The old man laughs and says that he really is just a child, and tells Jameen that he teleported in his room. The maid states how he was quite a child in front of his father and asks how come he isn't like that in front of him. While angry, he tells the old man that family and strangers are different, and the old man leans in and says if his abilities were a bit stronger. While Jameen gets embarrassed by how he's looking at him, the old man takes out a book and gives it to Jameen, while letting him know that the magic he's using is too old, and becomes humiliated by the old man. The book that the old man gave him is filled with magic that he created himself, and tells him that he's the first person who will see it. Jameen gets excited while the mage tells him that he has high hopes for him, and says that he wonders what he'll be like the next time he sees him. As Jameen reads the old book, we see the explanation of mana breathing. Mana breathing is like deep breathing, and when doing this, you absorb mana and it goes into your heart. It's known to be the most effective way, but that's the limit to it, and it's a con. After reading this, Jameen gets really interested in the book. After reading, he realizes that the mana can be absorbed and stored throughout the body and not only just in the heart, making a mage even stronger, and states how it's impossible, but then says it's not for him, Diablo Volfear, and gets happy at the old man for giving him such a book. He summons the round creature from before named Black and asks him to break up mana so he could practice new mana technique. As we begin the next chapter, we see that Jameen has been training all night, and we see that the maid and the Count are standing at his door while he's practicing his new mana control technique. The maid looks shocked while the Count is surprised by how much mana he has swirling around him, and wonders if his cute son really has this kind of talent. He tells the maid not to worry about the young lord and to let him rest. And the Count thinks, so he's a magician, not a sword user? Is it from my wife's family influence? It sounds like there's something going on with the wife's side. And the Count walks away and thinks, that's my son. In the next scene, we see Jameen finally waking up from his meditation. Excited, he jumps up saying that he made it to the 4th class of mana control. His adorable round familiar jumps on his head, and he lets it know that he doesn't want to reform his body because he knows it's young and weak. The cute creature rolls to his shoulder and he snuggles with it and tells it that he's going to try to not be impatient about attacking the 12. He turns black invisible and doesn't leave it in the room this time, thinking its mana is hidden, and says that his father won't even notice as he walks out to meet his father. In the next panel, we see the Count sitting down with a man that looks like he does not have the best intentions in mind.